Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be doing the Porsche event, special event on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And I wasn't originally going to do this event. This event has been in the game for probably about 2 months now, 3 months. I'm not even sure when they added this, but it's been in for a long time. And I wasn't originally going to do this. However, I was going to do the Lamborghini Corsa at Monza, which was like a 2-week event. I think it might have even only been a week event. It was pretty short. And I think as of 30 minutes ago, it got removed from the game, sadly, and then replaced with the BMW event. So yeah, we're doing this instead because I'm really in the video making mood. So yeah, I'm going to be driving the Porsche Cup at Silverstone in the wet, transitioning to dry. Apparently I can't say transitioning today. It's been the third take now that I haven't been able to say it, but we're not scrapping this one. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. It's going to be very difficult. I don't have a lot of experience in the wet, so we'll see how it goes. And welcome to Silverstone. Here we are in the Porsche Cup. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. This is my third try of doing this. Oh my god. I get so far through. I get like 10 minutes in and then accidentally mess up when the tires start warming up a little bit. And ooh, it is really infuriating. Anyway, it's a really hard event to talk and focus on at the same time because I'm driving in the wet. But hopefully this time we'll pull it off. Anyway, we're just using the default wet preset. And we're just going to go with this. As you can see here, the car has no traction control, meaning that we have to be very, very careful with our acceleration. And this is my third take. And the reason I keep messing up is because I'm using first gear in a corner where I should be using second to have a little bit more traction control. I should say a little bit more traction. So it's something I'm going to have to keep in mind when doing the event again. Alright, this is the third try. Hopefully we can make it all the way to the end. If not, I'm going to be very, very tilted. Okay. But the first events have been pretty decent. Silverstone is a very tricky track to drive in the wet, I've found, in comparison to other tracks. So it's very easy to misjudge a corner when driving around Silverstone. Not having your car to the full capabilities that you normally have in the dry and braking capabilities, you can really, really easily overshoot a corner. And you completely lose your sync to the whole track. So I'm just going to keep braking earlier than normal, staying in a higher gear to keep the traction, and we should be fine. Also not talking in very tricky corners like these corners here. I spun out like 4 times around these corners. Right. Anywho, we're going to have to pit in the middle of this race. It's been so long since I did my intro that I don't know if I mentioned it. But yeah, we're going to have to pit in the middle of this race. Using the wet preset and then changing to dry tires, I still have to remember that I'm not going to have 100% capabilities of my car. Because first of all, we're using brakes that respond really well to wet weather. Why I can't say wet weather. Anyway, yeah, we're using brakes that respond well to wet weather, but not really to dry weather. So when we enter the dry stint, we still have to be very, very careful. But that's for then. Hopefully we get to that. So if you're wondering what wheel I'm using, I'll probably put all this in the description as well. I'm using a Logitech G29, just box standard G29 pedals. And I really feel like, especially for driving in the wet, which I don't have a lot of experience with, but having smooth throttle inputs is really hard with the Logitech pedals. The graduation of pressing down the pedal isn't there. It's not like just a linear graph. It's more of a exponential graph, it feels like. So as you hit halfway, you're doing like 3/4 of an input, and that to me, because I don't drive in real life, I don't know how it works in real life, but that to me feels wrong. It might not be wrong, it might be how it is actually meant to be intended. But I end up accidentally putting way too much throttle input going around some corners just because of that factor. Like I said, it might be right, and it might be something I have to get used to. Let me know in the comments. I actually have no clue. Please let me know. But yeah, it's because of that, it's very hard to drive in TC0, and I keep messing up a lot. So tires are still building up in pressure, building up in temperature. I don't know how long it'll take for them to reach 30s, if they do reach 30s. If you don't know, you want your temperatures, or pressures, sorry, to be 30 in the bottom right, 30 psi. That's where you get the most grip out of your wet tires. And for dry tires, you want it to be 27.7 to get the optimum grip out of your tires. Alright, fairly decent second lap. Being very careful to not accelerate on curbs as well, because driving on wet curbs is how you spin out a lot of the time. So you just want to make sure that when you go over the curbs, you're not applying throttle, you're not steering too much. Even braking over curbs can be weird. Your car will just not stop and you'll just slide over them. So be careful with that as well. So I don't have as much experience with racing as the next person. I know a lot of people that play Sims these days. I've played for thousands upon thousands of hours. Most of my sim experience when it comes to using a steering wheel has just been on Euro Truck Simulator. Sims I have played with my steering wheel have been iRacing. Of course, I've done 24-hour events, endurance events in iRacing, such as Daytona, Le Mans, Bathurst, 12 hours, and it's been pretty fun. But in terms of Assetto Corsa, I've not used my wheel a lot on Assetto Corsa, maybe 100 hours, 150 hours at most I've driven on Assetto Corsa. So it's still something I'm getting used to. And on top of that, the amount of time I've spent driving in the wet, it's probably 4 hours of that, to be honest. I don't have a lot of experience of driving in the wet. So hopefully I'm learning myself from driving this event. I'm learning not to make mistakes. Driving in the wet really just seems to, you need to maintain your focus all the time. Make sure you're not overstepping the accelerator, make sure you're not driving on the wrong place on the track. Just keeping it nice and smooth, no sudden steering inputs, braking early can save you a lot of time as well, and then just gradually bleed off the brake trace. That's something else about the Logitech pedals. The brake pedal sucks, and I've gotten used to it. In every game that I play though, I have to reduce the 100% threshold, because it's very hard to push the pedal all the way down into the rubber and the brake from my sitting angle. I almost lost it there. If I had a proper setup where you sit back in the chair, kind of like an F1 rig, I think it'd be really easy to use, easier to use, but it's, of course, they're not the best pedals on the market, so I just deal with it. But yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with driving in the wet in any game, and also iRacing doesn't have any wet driving. But when I do end up joining public lobbies and it is a wet track, I end up generally being faster than a lot of the people on the server. I think I was locking up a tire there. I went on the curb and started braking and the car didn't like it. But yeah, I genuinely end up being faster than a lot of people in public servers in the wet. And driving in the wet comes to, one, having consistency, understanding how the car is behaving under throttle, under braking, understanding the movements of the car, which I'll get to later on. But it's also about setups, I guess. You can have a really good wet setup, and it will make you so much faster. And what I've noticed as well is in Assetto Corsa, they end up giving you, in the wet setup, they put the TC like much higher than it needs to be. It's kind of like the wet preset is a wet safe preset. So if you want to shave like 1 to 2 seconds at Zolder, for example, while it's raining, just put your TC down by 1 or 2, whatever you feel comfortable with. It's on way too high, and you lose a lot of traction out of corners. What I found. The McLaren setup at Zolder uses 10 out of, I think it's 11 out of 12 TC. And I just put it down to 10 and I was going 2 seconds faster than everyone else on the track. Must have been a beginner lobby, but still, if you want to gain a little bit more pace, that's all you gotta do. Try to drive with your TC down a little bit more. It's actually the same scenario as driving in the wet. In the dry, sorry. The lower you can put your TC down in the dry and maintain that traction out of the corner, the faster you'll be out of the corner. And currently, because I don't like the pedal shape, I end up driving on 2, maybe 3 TC, which I know I'm losing a fair amount of time out of corners from my TC limiting me. Okay, we're gonna hit a cliff pretty soon. As you can see, the track is really starting to dry up now. You can see the PSIs and my tires are getting higher and higher as they're warming up from lack of water on the track. So this is where I have to focus the most now, because it's about the stage where we're going to start transitioning onto wet tires. So let me check my pit stop is okay, which it does seem so. We're just changing onto tires, no bodywork damage. Accidentally up in that. There you go. So going on curbs now will be a lot safer. I still don't trust it. There's not a lot of standing water away from the racing line either. Almost lost it there again. That corner is scary for me. So we're not going to be able to cool the tires down as much as we want to. But the tires are still at a decent temperature, so we're not worrying about them much yet. In the next lap, they'll start overheating, I expect. As you can see, the bottom right tire is now going yellow a little bit. I did get a little bit of wheel spin off of that corner. But now I have to focus because they will be reaching a cliff. And we'll pit when a message comes up on the right and I'll say wet tires optimum. I hope it comes up on the right. I don't know if it comes up on the right in the middle of the screen. But honestly, I cannot see the middle of my screen very well. So I hope it doesn't come up in the middle of the screen. There we go, slick tires optimum, so we will pit this lap. Check one last time, everything is good, no repairs, so we'll just leave those ticked. I don't have a lot of experience driving the Porsche Cup car in general, so my dry stint is also going to be pretty slow. In comparison to other people. But as long as you don't spin and make a massive mistake, we should be fine. So I have to be very careful because my tire pressures are going through the roof. So also make sure we don't speed. One of my previous attempts I ended up speeding entering the pit lane. It's not something we want. This attempt was like months ago as well. It has literally been in the game for maybe over 2-3 months. Bring it carefully in. Okay, I'm just gonna bring it in really carefully. It's done it again. Is it not pit limiter? Okay, I don't know if there's... Oh, it's because I'm not in first gear. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. Okay, last check. Dry tires. Let's turn that off. I might be a little bit too close. Oh, that was actually not a bad pit stop. Okay. So not a bad wet session, I would say, for not having 100% concentration and talking to you guys. Not a bad wet session at all. We've got way too much fuel though for the whole event. Okay, my engine cut off after. Alright. The pit could have been way better, sadly. No time gained. I guess I accidentally cut over the white lines of the pit exit? Not sure. Alright, let's get to it. So I'm going to focus until the tires get decently warm, and then we'll talk about something else. We'll talk about the camera. This is something I would like to mention. Okay, the brakes are really bad. Like I said, they are wet weather brakes, so they are braking pretty badly. But I can tell this is a wet setup because the car just is not turning. I mean, the tires are also still stone cold as the track starts to heat up. But you can see there's just hardly any grip in the car. And I want to make sure I'm not greening my tires either. Come on, front tires, you've got this. The track's still going to be slightly wet. So the front tires aren't warming up too well. Should be fine for the next lap though, I would say. Anyway, let's talk about the camera. So I really enjoy using the dash cam in Assetto Corsa. I feel like it makes my driving way more precise. It's the camera that I'm using right now. However, I recently installed the realistic head movement plugin for Assetto Corsa. And if you guys don't have it, by the way, I recommend getting it. But what it does, I think, is it pretends you're using track IR. I'm not using track IR at all, by the way. You don't need track IR. But the game thinks you're using track IR, and it will take the physics in the game, like braking, accelerating, turning, hitting bumps, and it will replicate the inputs as if you're using track IR, so your camera will start wobbling around more realistically. And originally, if you use the dash cam without this, we'll call it a mod, without the realistic camera movement mod, the camera won't shake and your character won't turn his head, and well, it turns his head very gently. It's hard to see, but he does turn his head. But you don't get any of that. You only get the car movements if you are in the cockpit cam, with the steering wheel in front of the dash and all that. So I've installed this mod, and now I'm getting camera movements even in dash cam. And I'm still trying to get used to it. This is like my third event, I should say, where I've tried to use this. And it's been throwing me off a lot. Oh, catch that? Okay, nice. I went a bit wide, I think it was still a bit wet. Yeah, so I have like an hour experience having camera movement in the dash cam position. It's not really the dash cam position, it's just more zoomed in of a cockpit position. But you understand what I mean anyway. You're mainly looking at the dash over the mirror, the window, onto the track. So I'm not very accurate even when driving in the dry. The first and second events, I spun out a few times, because you realize how much more your car has the ability to turn in when entering a corner. You understand things a lot more, how your car's reacting to the environment. So you end up overdriving the car. But I think at this point, I'm pretty used to it now, after trying to drive in the wet for a while. It makes me sad that I can't do that corner flat. So my PSI and all my tires are really high. So we still got a fairly unstable car. if you guys haven't done the event in the game and you're watching this first, check my tire pressures at the end as well as my fuel level, and then tweak your setup to allow it to be more optimum in the dry tire PSI and the amount of fuel that's left once the race ends. So I still haven't tried to see what it looks like in the full-on cockpit view with this mod with the realistic head movements. It might make it a lot better, and that might end up being my go-to after trying it. We'll see, we'll see. But right now, I still really enjoy, and it's making me enjoy driving in this view a lot more. I always used to change between this camera and the whole cockpit camera because I liked being able to understand what was happening to the car through the movement of the car when in the full cockpit view. And I always thought to myself, well, you know what? You'll probably end up driving faster if you get used to all the movement of the car when going into corners. Like, you'll get used to it and you'll end up driving faster. But it's very hard to be precise. The FOV for me feels really weird in the large view. If I put it really small, oh, we're sliding a little bit here. If I put it really small, the outside FOV feels really narrow, and I feel like I can't focus. It just does not feel great to me. So I like to use a larger FOV. But while doing a larger FOV, you see more of the car movements around you. Which in turn puts you off even more, right? It's like having way too much force feedback. Your eyes are having to see and focus on what's happening around you a lot more because there's a lot more movement. Oh, we are slipping and sliding a little bit because of those rear tires. I still need to be a little bit careful. Two more laps left though. Actually, maybe 3 more laps. It's probably gonna be 3 more laps. So I'm liking having a decent FOV over the dashboard that my eyes can perceive very well, as well as having car movements. And not too much car movement either. I use the settings. What I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description, and it shows you how to install it, or tells you how to install it, and then has settings that the guy himself uses. And that's what I'm using. And I really do think it makes a huge difference in driving the car. Yeah, 2 more laps. The car is getting very twitchy. The front right tire is not heating up at all. Okay, we're catching it. I don't know if there's anything I can do with the front right tire not heating up. the only thing you could do is either move the brake bias forward, which it's already pretty forward, or you reduce the brake ducts. And judging by the brakes already, the brakes do get pretty hot, and they are dissipating the heat pretty well. So it's not something you really want to touch. So maybe you just got to deal with this really stone cold front right tire. It's like the brakes aren't working. They might be dying at this point because they are wet brakes as well, aren't they? And we're not exactly driving in the wet anymore. They might be overheating. Well, not overheating, but just degrading way too fast, maybe? It feels like in braking sometimes the car just loses itself. Like the brakes are overheating, but they're not overheating. So maybe the brakes at this point are almost gone, but I don't think they degrade that fast. Alright. Last lap. An accidental cut. Let's focus up on the last lap and see what kind of time we can pull out. Ooh. Oh no. Okay, I'm really surprised that I lost it there. Really surprised. So what I did was I took the corner sharper to give myself more room to make the right-hander faster. And as I turned in for that corner, it also still might be due to my cold front right tire. But as I turned into the corner, I just had no grip. So I overturned the wheel to try and force grip into the car to kind of get rid of the understeer. And the car instantly gripped and I went sliding. I tried to catch it. And while trying to catch it, I just completely lost it. So either way, I wouldn't worry about that at all, because we're still going to be finishing 14 laps around Silverstone, which is what the top people actually did as well.
Session is now over.
There we go. 14 laps around Silverstone, from wet weather to dry weather. A cold front tire. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's see what position on the leaderboard we got. I really wish we didn't spin out on that last lap. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's have a look at the lap time. So we went 15.2 to 14s to 13s to 12s to 11s. So as you can see here, we improved every single lap in our wet stint up to the point where we pitted here. This is us entering the pits, and then this is the lap after the pits. And then our fastest lap was actually straight afterwards, as the tyres were already decently warm. Actually, they weren't really that warm, were they? They were just fresher. I think this was as the back tyres were heating up, and they didn't have a bad PSI. But as you can see, we just hovered around the 08s, the 07s, 08s, and then sadly a really bad lap time at the end. But pretty decent event, nonetheless. Alright. What position on the leaderboard are we? 134. Not bad. Not bad. Judging by these times here, we could have been way higher without the spin. Maybe about 110 potentially, but that still really is not a bad time. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe to the channel for more simulator videos. And I don't know if I'm going to start getting into a regular routine of uploading stuff, but maybe I do, maybe I don't. Subscribe and you'll find out. Like the video if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching, guys.